Good morning, everybody. Wake up. Wake up, wake up. In Provincetown. This week featuring Wake Up, Wake Up. Can I have some coffee? Wake up, wake up. Make it strong, please. Hey. Ho. Hey. Wake up, wake up. Ho. No, really, can I have some coffee? Wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up.
Sorry, I'm cramming.
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, June 16th. This is Wake Up in Provincetown. I'm Bob.
I'm Harrison.
Thanks for waking up with us, you guys. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
How are you?
We've got a stellar show today and it is jam-packed.
Stacked.
Yeah. We have Geordon West coming to talk about their film Playland that is in the Provincetown International Film Festival this weekend.
It's Film Festival weekend.
Yeah. We also have James Jackson Jr. coming in to chat about their solo show at the Provincetown Theater.
Did you see A Strange Loop?
No.
Oh,
I know. I haven't been to New York in years.
Really?
I know.
you need to go.
I know.
In November.
Yeah, I also sat down this week with Fenton Bailey, one of the creators of World of Wonder, which was definitely a pinch myself moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like sitting down with the man who produced so much queer content that has shaped me specifically as a queer person. He was the creator and producer of Drag Race and every iteration of it that has ever existed across the world.
He's like your drag mom. He
Kind
raised
of,
you.
Yeah. He also did Party Monster,
Oh, yeah.
which is one of my favorite movies ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to sit down with Reverend Kate Wilkinson over at the UU Church. And I mean, there are so many godless heathens here in Provincetown. And it was nice to talk to somebody who, you know, is centered and spiritual and really kind and talked about God and belief in a way that was really like warm and welcoming. You know what I mean? Do you ever go to church here?
No.
She made me want to go to church.
It was kind of the same when I sat down with Edgar over at the Methodist. It's gonna be one of those mornings.
I know.
How was your week, Bob?
My week was so fabulous. So
Good.
last night was my show at the Post Office Cabaret. Thank you to everybody who joined us there. Thank you to everybody who performed on stage with me. Brittany, Harrison, and Peter Toto. It was really fun, right?
Yeah, it was like a musical theater night at your show.
And you know, it's funny because so
You should have opened with. It
it dawned on me to do that. But when we closed with One Day More from Les Mis, everybody really, really loved that.
Well, Bob brought us up at the end. He's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for my last number since we all have a bunch of musical theater people here. I wrote all the character names from One Day More and put them in a hat. We're all going to pick 2 out of the hat and we're going to do One Day More.
The 4 of us will do the 7 voices, and we pulled it off.
It was kind of
It
a
sounded
slay.
pretty good, right?
Yeah, it really did.
And unfortunately, my usual stage band, Mike Flanagan and Christian McCarthy, were out sick with COVID. So my friend Yaron had to learn all 4 songs in less than 24 hours. So thank you, Yaron.
Yeah,
if you
he
guys
nailed
have
it.
time, he's so talented. He works so hard. He's back in Provincetown for the summer after working in LA at Disney for 7 years.
Damn.
He was out, he's like worked with Clive Davis. He's a big deal.
And you're friends with, you had known him before?
He was living in town as a piano man like 8 or 9 summer, like right before you got here, he was living here as one of the piano men in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a while, yeah, before John Richardson moved here, Yaron was, you know, the John Richardson kind of.
Yeah, I got a chance to check out his piano bar set over at the Crown and Anchor on Wednesday night. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you, Yaron. If you guys have time to go see him play, he's all over the place. He's going to be at the Crown. What'd you say?
Wednesday at the
Every
Crown?
Wednesday at the Crown. I think Tuesday nights with Juo, they're doing an open mic night.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he'll be at Tin Pan a couple of nights a week, Post Office one night out of the week.
Speaking of, we have to do a birthday call. I'm sorry, you can talk about.
Who? Who are you calling? Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll vamp. Kristen, how are you? Filler.
Oh my God.
Quick.
Hardly know her.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you? What?
A birthday call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This person's not going to answer.
No, why not?
No.
How do you know?
Because it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, that probably is
Who
smart.
is it? Oh. Oh my
Hello?
God.
Is this Shuo?
This is Joel.
This is Harrison Bob calling from the Wake Up in Provincetown set. We wanted to wish you a very happy birthday.
Oh my god, I can't believe this.
Yeah, happy birthday, Shuo. Is there anything really special you want for your birthday?
Just to thank you for your friendship.
Aww. I also heard it was for all of our viewers to buy tickets to this summer's show Unholy, which is every Sunday night at the Crown and Anchor.
That is exactly what I meant to say. It just sounded weird when it came out.
That's perfect, perfect. Go back to bed. Have a really fabulous birthday.
I love you. Thank you.
Love you
Happy
too,
birthday.
bye. It's Joe's birthday.
He woke up and answered the phone.
Yeah. Did you get up to anything else fun this week?
Anything else fun this week? No, all I did was work on that show.
Yeah, I kind of, this week was, you reach a point where in your rehearsals at the beginning, you're like, oh, this is fun, we're learning new stuff. And then you reach a point where you're like, oh, I have to learn it.
Are you learning it?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I am.
I heard there's some difficult steps involved.
There is not difficult steps, just difficult for me.
Oh, do you have
Yeah.
2 left feet?
No, but when you're step touching, snapping, and trying to sing at the same time, my brain hasn't had to do that in quite some time.
Just try some reverb.
I'm gonna murder you. So there's other big news in town. My favorite, Varla Jean Merman, opens tonight.
Oh my God, are you
Yeah,
going?
no.
Why
Oh,
not?
actually, maybe.
You
Yeah, I
can.
have tonight off.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I will. Yeah. This weekend is Men of Color weekend. Monday is Juneteenth. There's going to be a big celebration this Monday. Yeah, let me pull up the flyer.
At the Crown and Anchor?
Yes, Monday, June 19th. No, it's at the Unitarian Universalist Meeting House, Lawn, on the 19th, 2 to 5. Yeah, it's a celebration and a cookout.
Oh, fun. I hope the weather's nice.
Yeah. Let's do Anne's
Let's
weather.
talk about the weather right now with Ann Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to give Andrew 1 second.
Yeah.
And now 2.
Hello everyone, it's me, Anne
my
Hutchinson,
brain
with
was-
the weather for you as usual. And yeah, my fancy cameraman is gone, I understand, alright, he left me. I got real anxious about my summer residency at the Crown and Anchor, and I've been in the stratosphere with my anxiety, and he left me. But the fact that I've been in the stratosphere, there's a good side to that. I've experienced a lot of our atmosphere to share with you all today for the weather. And basically there's just a lot of air out there in the atmosphere, which is perfect for my show in the newly renovated cabaret room, because, you know, no one's bought tickets yet. So basically my audience is just air, unless some of you would like to buy tickets. You know, all this free weather I've been giving you since early March. You might want to just buy a ticket. You don't even have to come. It could be a donation, right? You know, you can just pretend you're gonna come. Look at how far pretending has gotten me. Here I am. And by the way, my tickets are $10 cheaper than any other performer at the Crown and Anchor, because I can't sing at all. Also, there's a VIP section in the front here with all of these tables, and you know, that's because very important people love to sit right up front where everyone can gawk at them. But if that's not your thing, don't worry, because I have had some special tech installed here at the Crown and Anchor for those very important people. They don't like to be seen. I have an invisibility cloak on the front row, so when you don't see anyone there, it's just because of the invisibility technology. Also, they've had new hardwood floors established here in the cabaret room, you know, just so the echo of my own voice can reverberate stronger. And they've had new wallpaper installed as well, because I do absolutely no costume changes. So please consider coming to the opening night of my Conventicles, Thursday, June 22nd at 9 p.m. You'll get my characteristic, oh.
Was there reverb on it?
Can you throw some reverb on his mic, please?
Thank you, Anne, for that glorious weather. We forgot to talk about your birthday.
Oh, that's right. My birthday was last Saturday, June 10th. My dad was in town for 5 days. We had a really cute little bonfire on Sunday evening. Oh, because I was talking about the permitting process on this show last Friday.
Right. How'd it go?
You know what? They didn't come out and yell at us. I think she realized that she had instilled enough fear in us during the permitting process itself that they didn't feel the need to come out and attempt to shut us down.
Did you end up breaking any rules?
Well, there were definitely, each permit allows 25 people to be at the fire. There were definitely more people than the permit says, but we cleaned everything up. We behaved ourselves. We honor nature and the space and treat the earth as she should be treated.
Yeah.
So it was great. It was
Good.
super fun. You came, thank you.
I did go. It was a lot of fun.
Something terrible did happen to me though. So my dad at one point was like, I'm cold and tired, I need to go home. You need to take me home. And I was like, but I just took some mushrooms. I really shouldn't be driving right now. Oh my, should I tell this story? Too late. And so I was like, okay. And
You're like,
driving him to my house. And I had this 32 ounce diet Powerade, like sugar-free Powerade. And you know how those big things don't fit in the cup holder? So it was open, sitting here. And I dropped him off, and I'm going back to the beach, and I went over one of those little speed bumps at the beach, and the whole Powerade dumped into the front of the car.
Peter must love that.
It smells like red Gatorade now.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Our brand new truck.
Great work.
No, but
Bob.
you're on mushrooms, and the little pool of red Gatorade, and that little gear shift thing. It has that leather, you know what I mean?
Jesus.
Because I was drinking, I was like, oh my God, I need this. I'm like,
Oh my God.
I regret telling that story.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably for the best.
Well, it makes me feel better. I spilled this big of a jug of oil at my job yesterday, completely sober.
Oh, no. And that also, Ethan said he spilled a big tub of oil at his job, and that, working in restaurants, that is literally, it's going to be there for the next 6 months.
Forever.
It's going to be slippery and greasy forever.
Workman's comp.
Oh
Ethan.
my God. Let's move on to news. Really quickly, Sienna Liggins, who we had on the show 2 weeks ago, she released a new single today. It's called Rent Free. It's a lot of fun, so check that out.
If you were at the Crown Anchor, you heard a sneak preview last week.
Slay. She performed that last week. What else do I got? Local news. I picked up a copy of the Provincetown Independent this week, and one of the articles was about Sal Del Deo, and he's being ordered to leave his dune shack.
Oh.
So as part of the new leasing agreement of the dune shacks announced this past May, Sal Del Deo, who is 94, received a letter in late March from a Park Service official being told he had 30 days to remove himself, his personal items from the shack, and surrender keys. His son sent an appeal. He was granted 60 more days, which is coming up at the end of this month. Sal has spent summers in that shack since 1946, which was 15 years before the creation of the Cape Cod National Seashore. Sal said that the notice was a betrayal of his late wife, Josephine, who died in 2016. She was a vocal proponent and supporter of the creation of the National Seashore, and she also was a vocal opponent of the destruction of the shacks in the 70s and 80s. And she also was instrumental in creating the dune shacks of the Peaked Hill Bars Historic District. So,
I mean, Thursday was the day that the people who were putting bids on them were out there, touring them, I guess?
yeah.
Do you know how that went?
I don't know how that went. I did see posts on Facebook community space about there being an organized peaceful protest. People went out to the entrance of the that road that leads out to the dune shacks just to protest the change. And I feel like what everyone just wants is a conversation, a dialogue to happen, and that is the frustrating part. Is people are trying to have these conversations, including our select board, Truro Select Board. The Independent makes a point of all these articles putting we reached out and no one wants to talk to us.
Right.
Yeah. It's a sad thing.
I know.
Yeah. This past weekend were the Tony Awards. It was unscripted due to the writer's strike, but I did hear that a lot of people enjoyed it and found it to be one of their favorites because it was just the stars you wanted to see being themselves, being silly, fun, goofy. Yeah. I watched a few of the live performances. They seemed incredible. love Sweeney Todd, so I wanted to see it. But after seeing that performance, I was like, oh, I got to see that.
Really?
Yeah. You
better hurry.
Yeah, and I've seen some clips of them recording the original cast album. It looks fun. Yeah, I love that show.
They didn't win, though.
They didn't win much. Gay actor Sean Hayes and Joel Grey took home awards.
Joel Grey?
Yeah. Jay Harrison Gee and Alex Newell made history. They made history as becoming the first non-binary performers to be nominated, but they both ended up winning their awards, which is really incredible. I also loved, people were like, we love that Alex Newell from Glee won a Tony Award while Lea Michele was in the audience.
You're so mean.
But there's also a little clip going around TikTok of Alex Newell walking down the aisle after being announced the winner, and I'm 100% positive it was not intentional, but obviously the internet is making it seem like it was, where they're walking down the aisle and they pass Lea Michele and kind of glance away as they walk by her, which obviously was intentional.
You're getting way too much pleasure out of this.
I just think it's all fun, yeah.
I think it's all fun.
But Lea Michele also performed, it was incredible, and she slayed.
She did a number from Funny Girl.
Yeah. Michael Arden also won the Tony for Best Direction for Parade and made headlines for dropping the F-bomb, and not the F-bomb you're thinking of. He was quoted as saying, growing up, I was called the F-word more times than I could remember, and all I can say now is that I am an F-word with a Tony, but he actually used the word the second time.
Why are you not saying it?
I don't know. I got nervous. Stop.
Just say it. He said it on TV. He said it on the Tonys.
But I think they bleeped him. I'm not positive, but I do think they bleeped him.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a commonplace word around here. We use it. It happens.
Yeah, but we also live in a place of privilege and safety that is not afforded to people all over the world and our country, or even a few miles down the road. So we're very lucky and privileged, and we have to remember that.
You are one lucky faggot.
I'm gonna kill you. Speaking of Broadway, did you hear that there's gonna be a Cats revival? Yeah, so Andrew's hearing it for the first time. I had that same reaction. I was like, why? But what is one of the longest running Broadway musicals of all time just got announced that they are doing a revival. It's going to be off Broadway this time. And
starring Judi Dench's asshole.
Exactly.
Did you see the movie Cats? Did you?
But it was announced that it's going to be set in the underground world of the 1980s ballroom culture.
Oh.
Yeah, and that, I'm like, okay, I could get into that. It's going to be running June, July 2024. It's going to be co-directed by Xylon Livingston and Bill Rausch, and choreography by Arturo Lyons and Omari Wiles. So they definitely went out and got the right people to be a part of that project, and I'm excited.
You actually have to pronounce it like this from now on. Cats!
Oh my God, you're canceled. Get out.
Yes. No, right?
So, in other news, trans activist was banned from the White House. So they had a pride celebration in which they invited activists and influencers. And Rose Montoya was in attendance, and it was announced that she will not be invited back. She posted a 58-second long TikTok with the caption, I had the honor of attending the White House Pride, the largest one in history where the pride flag flew for the first time. This is Trans Joy. We're here at the White House unapologetically trans, queer, and brown. At the end of that 58-second TikTok, there's a 3-second clip of her posing topless with 2 trans men. She is covering her nipples with her hands. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said that the behavior was simply unacceptable when asked about it at a press briefing. And then Rose Montoya responded, she said, it has recently come to my attention that conservatives are trying to use the video of me topless at the White House to try to call the community groomers, etc. I would just like to say that, first of all, going topless in Washington, D.C. is legal, and I fully support the movement in freeing the nipple. She then asked people who denied the existence of trans people to pick a side. Why is my chest now deemed inappropriate or illegal when I show it off? However, before coming out as trans, it was not. She asked, adding, all you're doing is affirming that I am a woman.
Work.
Yeah. I'm sure that's going to be a polar... Yeah, snaps. Yeah, I love all of this. I'm sure there is a contingency of queer people who are also like to present themselves in a moral way. But I think shocking people and pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable is the best way to queer acceptance.
Yeah.
Personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's do that. What? Right. Let's go to our first pre-tape with Reverend Kate.
Go to church, guys.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. I'm at the UU Church on Commercial Street with Reverend Kate Wilkinson. Kate, thanks for making some time to talk to us today.
Thanks for coming by.
Definitely one of the best offices in town.
I'm very lucky. I feel lucky every day.
And how long have you been working here?
This is my 11th year here.
Mm-hmm. And so tell everybody a little bit about what UU, what does it mean? What do you guys stand for?
Sure. So literally what we stand for, UU, means Unitarian Universalist, and that's our religious heritage. We grew out of the Judeo-Christian tradition as Unitarians and Universalists, and then they merged in the 1960s. The joke is that the Unitarians believed they were too good to be damned, and the Universalists believed God was too good to damn us. So it's a liberal, it started as a liberal Protestant faith, and now I'd say a minority of our folks identify as Christian, but it's a sort of umbrella faith tradition where any seeker can come and sit in the pews with someone who believes something different from them, and we're sort of tied together by our 7 principles. And we're voting on an 8th now, but they're about respecting the inherent worth and dignity of every person, using democracy in our world, respecting nature, and sort of how we want to be together. That 8th principle that we're adding is about anti-racism and building the beloved community through multicultural engagement.
And do you get all kinds of people coming in here every week?
We do. It's a really diverse group. Some people grew up Unitarian like me, but that's rare. A lot of people are coming out of other faith traditions or no tradition at all. So, and often people come if they're in a marriage or partnership where they have different religious backgrounds from each other, and they want to know, where can we fit in? You can definitely fit in here.
That's what I was going to say. So I was baptized Catholic. My mother was a Buddhist from Thailand, and I went to a Methodist church in high school because all my friends went to that church. And so I'm sort of like spiritually, I guess, all over the place.
You would be perfectly at home here.
That's very nice to know. When do you hold services?
Sundays at 11.
But you're here all week, right?
I'm here all week. I live in Wellfleet, but I'm in Provincetown pretty much every day, and our offices are open Monday through Thursday.
What can you tell me about that organ up there?
That is a Holbrook Tracker organ. It's amazing. It was restored just a few years before I got here, and we still play it. It fills this place with sound. It's totally amazing. As is the rest of the room. This place was built in 1847, and it's all painted in the trompe-l'oeil, trick of the eye fashion, which means it's actually flat, but it looks like there's so much architectural detail there. And it was all painted by one guy, Carl Wendt.
Wow.
Pretty amazing.
What kind of services do you do for the community aside from the Sunday church?
So, for instance, we have a little free pantry outside. I don't know if you noticed it on the way in. It's sort of a cabinet outside. That was a ministry that developed during the pandemic, and volunteers restock it every day. And so you don't have to knock on the door or anything. You can just come and get something you need or drop something off that you want to donate. That's one of our things. We have a pastoral care team that meets every month and talks about who in the community could use extra support, and we do calls and cards, things like that. We have a social justice group that is very active in the community. A lot of us are involved in some racial justice work. We're really looking forward to hosting the Juneteenth celebration out on our lawn this summer.
Nice.
We did it last year. It was a blast. It was a really fun day. So we're looking forward to hosting that again.
Like a cookout.
Yeah, it was a picnic, speeches, music. It was a drag show. It was everything. It was terrific. And Juneteenth is a holiday that not a lot of white people are familiar with. So it's great to be able to support our Black siblings in their special holiday, which was for when the slaves were finally told in Texas that they were free, even though it was years after emancipation. So it's sort of a reflective day, but a joyful day, and it's great to educate people about what that holiday is.
What goes on downstairs? Because I know Scarby was here for a long time.
Yes, we were so devastated when Scarby retired. We do rent out for theater. We have a lot of music in this space too. Great Music at 5 is hosted out of here. We have AA meetings downstairs. Another congregation uses our space on Thursday nights. We try to use our building as a resource for the community. So we're always trying to team up with our partners to do testing on the lawn for the AIDS support group or vigils, workshops, that kind of thing.
And I noticed when I was walking in today that you are on the National Register of Historic Places.
We are, yeah.
When did that happen?
I think that was in the 70s.
Yeah.
We just need to protect this beautiful building so that people can enjoy it for years to come. We did flood.
Really?
Yeah, a number of years ago when we had that big flooding in this part of town, and that was scary because we realized that we're actually, even though it's been here since 1847, we're kind of a vulnerable place. But the community was amazing in their support, and we were able to clean up and recover and move on.
Did you say 1847?
Yeah.
This was built as a UU church, or was it something
It was
else?
Universalist.
Okay.
So the part that God's too good to damn us part, and the founding story is actually really awesome. So the congregation formed before this building, like in 1820s, and it was out on Long Point when there was a colony out there. And the story is, and I like to believe it's true, that two little girls, Sylvia and Elizabeth Freeman, were walking out on Long Point where they lived and saw a book floating in the waves along the shore. And they went out and got it and dried it out and started reading it, and their family read it, and it was a biography of John Murray, preacher of universal salvation. Because religion back then was all about hell and damnation and how terrible we were as people. And so the universalist ideas that God is love and we would never be damned were really new then. And so it caught on, and people started meeting just to talk about the book, and that's how this congregation formed.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I love this idea. See, I'm learning so much today. I hope you guys are too. Just like a God that's not damning and angry and hateful or all the time.
Right. Yeah. Too often religion is used in society to keep people down, to make them feel less than, to make them fearful, and that is not what we think religion should be. It should be about finding yourself and being your full self in the world, and being awed by what you see around you, and really tending to those relationships, to your relationship with the earth, to each other, to seeing the holy in all kinds of things. So we don't want to be limited. We want to just support each other in our spiritual search.
Nice. Well, thanks for taking some time to chat. Get in here and come say hi to Reverend Kate, you guys.
Every Sunday at 11, or just drop by. I'd love to see you.
Thanks a lot. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
guys soon.
You can go and see Reverend Kate on Monday for June 10th. What time did she say? 2 to 5. Thank you. And go to church on Sundays at 11.
Yeah. Please welcome Gordon West.
Jordan,
I'm
how are
so
you?
sorry.
No worries. It was the 90s. It spelled a little wild. We can blame Holly. So I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about the film with y'all.
So tell us a little bit about Playland.
So Playland, the film reimagines what would have been Boston's oldest gay bar, the Playland Cafe, had it survived the turn of the century. Unfortunately, like a lot of queer brick and mortar gathering spaces nationally, globally, it closed due to urban renewal efforts and government intervention. So
In 98?
yeah, in 98.
How long
Yeah.
was it there?
It was there from the 1930s, like a lot of gay bars.
Right.
It didn't start out as an intentional gay gathering space, but during the World Wars, the clientele slowly shifted because it was a port, Boston's a port city.
Right.
So the influx of Navy folks slowly generated a different clientele over time, and it became a queer gathering space. I would say most permanently in the 1960s and 70s. Yeah.
And you said at Washington Street and Essex Street in Boston?
Yeah, it was 21 Essex Street, and now it's a parking garage, but just a couple of blocks away from the Boston Common. So what would have been, was more colloquially known as the combat zone. Yeah, in that area.
What about the story kind of inspired you to make the film?
I was working as a server at Club Cafe in Boston. Not a good server. I did my best.
That's all we do. That's all we do.
And right around the corner was the History Project, which is a lovely archive. And I knew after some success with shorter films before that I wanted my first larger, longer piece to be about a gay bar in Boston. And the first archive that I pulled was the archive of Sylvia Sidney. She was known as the Queen Bitch of Boston, very larger than life character and a lifelong server. She was a cater waiter and very involved with her union. And her stories are wild, but all of her exploits would end at the Playland Cafe. And I had been around Boston long enough to know that I had never seen the Playland Cafe, had never heard of it. She said it was on Essex Street. I went and checked it out. It's, of course, a parking garage. So I started pulling materials that were there about that particular space and learned about the combat zone, learned about the sort of government pressures that were put on these queer spaces in the 20th century. And it really, ignited something for me. And I knew I wanted to tell it from the perspective of servers. I didn't want everyone, this transient population going in and having a great time. That's wonderful. But I really wanted to capture what it meant to be a steward of this particular space and to make your livelihood from its existence. So that's the perspective we approached it in.
Like we do now here.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I mean, it's, we talk all the time about how we are constantly losing queer spaces to not just parking garages, but everything else too.
Yeah.
And also queer history within that.
Absolutely.
I lived in Boston as well for a decade, had not heard of Playland.
Yeah.
And I did also serve and bartend in the South End.
Love it.
And my favorite, whenever I would find an older gay man who I'm like, you've been here so long, tell me everything.
Yeah.
And the stories you would hear, I'm like, why is none of this out there?
Yeah, I think the cool thing about being in those spaces is that you're seeing and experiencing people having their first experience in a queer space, and you're also experiencing people who are treating it more like a memory palace and who are eager to share their previous experience. And I think that those things are happening simultaneously is really beautiful, and I think a treasure. So yeah, I hope you were a better server than I was.
He's not.
Okay.
He's not.
How did you go about casting the film?
So we do have some Boston talent in the film, and then I wanted someone who's so very entrenched and so part of contemporary art history. So I reached out to Lady Bunny, and it's the first film in which she doesn't play a version of herself. She's really acting in this film, and really we reimagined Sylvia in a lot of different ways for this piece, and she came on board. She was one of our first casted. And then Danielle Cooper, who was on Pose, just felt like the perfect fit for Lady. So I think it was just looking at the depth and breadth of queer talent and being quite multidisciplinary in that approach, because we wanted to showcase that, whether they're lifelong drag queens. We have a dancer from Alvin Ailey in the film. We have a ballroom dancer in the film. So really cobbling together a cast that really showcases a tremendous amount of, they're polymaths. So they really acted so hard and so beautifully and so subtly and nuanced in this film, but they come from a variety of backgrounds. Yeah, Instagram was definitely my friend in that regard, is in finding people.
Oh, totally.
Oh yeah, because we casted during the pandemic, so it really was a lot of Zoom interactions and Zoom castings. But I was really lucky to work with such a talented cast.
Lady Bunny playing the Queen Bitch of Boston seems very method.
She's so tremendously talented, and I'm really excited to showcase her in a new way. Because she grew up in the theater scene, which I don't think a lot of people know about her, is that she has some crazy acting chops, and she even lip syncs to a German opera in the film. Yeah, so she worked hard. She worked hard.
How's the reception been on the festival circuit so far?
I think, it's been largely positive, and I'm really grateful for people who will go on a strange journey with us, because it really is a different approach to filmmaking, somewhere between documentary, somewhere between narrative, so that hybridity, people have been rather open to that experience, and it really is an experience. So I think if you go in with that expectation of something's going to happen. I don't know if I'll like it, but I will endure it. There is something really beautiful, I think, about letting the images and the music wash over you and hearing the archival that we were able to pull.
So you pulled archives and then you kind of filled in with color and...
Yeah, I think, you know, when we're talking about who gets documented and who gets erased from histories, there's a ton of archival silence. And so I think it's really about speaking within those gaps. And then I didn't want to create any new documentary material. I wanted to showcase what was pre-existing and show those gaps as well. So it really is that sort of kintsugi method where I'm embellishing with gold, but allowing the archival really to ground the piece overall. And we have some P-Town locals whose voices are featured in the film, and they'll be at the screening. So it's their first time seeing it, and I'm really excited to share that with them.
So exciting.
I'm really
What time
excited.
is your screening?
It is I hope, it's Saturday at 8:30, I believe. Yes. Thank you. I hope I'm right. I'm not sure. Yeah.
You guys check Playland out. If you're in town for the film festival, this is our pick. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
It's
Thank
really
you.
nice to meet you. Congratulations.
So nice to meet you both. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Let's chat with your artists.
Oh yeah, you guys. Here's Naya and Helen Grimm.
Everybody, I'm hanging out at the Commons with Helen Grimm and Naya Bricher, two of the painters represented by the 411 Gallery. Ladies, thanks so much for making some time.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Helen, let's start with you. Can you tell me a little bit about your personal connection with Provincetown? Like when you got here, what keeps you here?
Oh, sure. Well, I'm a Nauset Regional High School graduate.
Excellent.
So I grew up in Orleans, and I went away. I was never coming back. But then I did. And it was Provincetown that pulled me back. I really, especially when I was a kid, I loved coming here because I felt free. And that's why I came back. I live in Truro year round. I feel like I belong here.
Naya?
Well, I came to the Work Center. I came to Provincetown through the Fine Arts Work Center. I was looking for summer internships, and they had a program, and so I came as an intern in 2012, and then when they had a job opening for a full-time year-round position with housing, I came back in 2014 and was lucky to have a studio space through the Fine Arts Work Center, and have been able to remain employed there and have my creative practice and my professional practice, and the Cape just feels like home now.
It's kind of like the perfect balance.
Yeah.
And where's your studio?
In North Truro at my home.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
And what is it about Provincetown and Truro and the Outer Cape that inspires you to paint?
I think I feel it's a sense of connection to not only the people, but the environment. I feel connected to the land here, the sea. It's like out on the edge. It feels right, and it inspires me with its colors and forms, the whole vibe.
What do you?
I would jump off the color here, the liveliness, the celebratory atmosphere. I definitely feed off the energy of the tourists and vacation, and that shows up in my work, whether it's the bright colors of a poolscape or the kind of like joyful expression of the figures and small animals. It's all of the kind of happy novelty that Provincetown has to offer.
And how long have you been associated with 411?
I feel like I've, in some ways, always. The Liz Carney, the owner of the gallery, actually came and visited me in college. That's how we first met at Smith College. And she came and visited the studios looking for gallery assistants and saw one of the pieces I was working on, which was a huge painting. It's like 8 by 8 feet. And she's like, that has to come out to the gallery. And I was like, okay, where? I hadn't been to Provincetown yet. And so the painting actually preceded me. I was in part of a group show back in 2012, but it wasn't until several years later, maybe 2017 or 2018, that I actually became formally represented.
I remember that. Yeah. I'm trying to remember when the gallery actually opened. That was my first year.
Was it 2011?
I think so. Time flies. Yeah.
And I'm sure this is probably true of a lot of galleries, but I feel like Liz really creates and fosters like a family environment.
Oh, completely.
Yes.
That's so true. That's right.
Yeah.
Like how many of you are there?
It's growing.
Yeah. Caroline just joined. Caroline Carney, not related, but
Maybe
yeah.
10?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Excellent. So everybody can come down there and maybe see you or see your work this summer?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Please do.
Excellent. Well, thanks for taking some time to talk to us, and good luck this summer working, and we'll see you soon.
Thank
Also,
you.
one more thing, she's a prize-winning pie maker.
That's right.
Oh, yes, you
my
are.
gosh. I have my commons. It was a tie. I was the.
You were my pick.
Thank you. I have my specially made pie prize hanging in my studio. My ribbon, my blue ribbon.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, you two.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
see you
you.
soon.
Hey guys, pay attention. We're on. Say something.
Please welcome James Jackson Jr. to the Wake Up set.
Good morning.
How are you?
I had coffee, so I'm great.
Perfect.
I'm doing
perfect.
wonderful.
Well, you're in between shows. You had a
Yes.
show last night and another show tonight over at the
Yeah.
Provincetown Theater. How did last night go?
It was great. They were like, it's weird. There's just so loving over there. It's really, I'm having a wonderful week. Everyone is so great.
Did you get a peek at his set list?
No. What can we expect?
It's really fun.
Oh, yay.
Like-
It's a mix of Broadway and then like the stuff that I usually do. So there's some Nina Simone in there, there's some Lady Gaga.
Pat Benatar.
Pat Benatar, yeah.
What Pat
yeah.
Benatar?
We Belong.
Best Pat
That's my
Benatar
favorite
I've
one.
known.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
It's a great song. And the words are, like, we never really thought about the words in the
Yeah.
80s, but it's really like it's a heartfelt song.
Yeah.
Or it can be a heartfelt song if you sing it right.
I hear that you do.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. Thank you. Thank you.
Is it your first time in Provincetown? No.
No, I grew up in Randolph, so I've been coming here my entire life. So I've been it was like an hour and 15 minutes north of here. But it's let's see, I performed here 2 years ago for the first time at the post office. And I'll be back there in August and October.
Really excited.
So this is like home to me. I love Provincetown.
So you originated the role of Thought number 2
Yes.
in A Strange Loop.
Yes.
How has it been just because that show has just blown up and had such incredible success?
Well, it's weird. I worked on that show, and no one really talks about this stuff. We worked on that for a very long time. I did 13 and a half years of work on that. So, and I'm not even the longest one. So Jam, who plays Thought 5 in the show, plays the mom at the end of the show. Thought 4. He's been with it for 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're the granddaddies of it. But so we worked on it for free. We worked on it in Michael's apartment for years. We did all these little tiny things with the thought that, oh, well, this is never going to happen.
Right.
And we had producers in theater, people say, this is not going to ever be seen. You can't do these things. Like, who are you people? There's no celebrity in it. Like, there's no star. So to see something from someone's apartment all the way to Broadway, the space we were told we can't come to, and we took all of their things, is kind of cool.
I love that.
So
And
it's insane.
And then to have it so celebrated.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's something, we all know these people, we all know these stories, we are these characters, we've all had issues with our families as gay and queer people and things like that. So seeing a story like that you thought you would never see on Broadway with singing and dancing and that stuff
Step touch.
is fascinating. We love Broadway and we love theater and we love that escape thing for us. And to see our own stories reflected in that, or to learn something about a community you might not know, some of their history is really kind of super rewarding for everyone. It's really, and watching people receive that is so cool.
It's one of the most original things I've ever seen in my life. I didn't get to see it until after you were probably finished. I saw it in December, this past December.
Okay, yeah, well, we finished in January. Yeah, I was there, yeah.
I loved it.
It
it was tough for some people.
Yeah.
Like I saw some old white ladies walking out.
Oh yeah, we had people walk out every single day. I think there was someone who worked at the TKTS booth in Times Square with an amazing sense of humor, because I think some people would show up and say like, I want to see the Michael Jackson show. And our show was written by Michael R. Jackson, but there's also a musical about Michael Jackson at the same time. And I think someone at the TKTS booth had an amazing sense of humor. I need to send them flowers or something. But we had like church groups come, and then they get to like, AIDS is God's punishment or something about like Inwood Daddy or something. and you see people leaving out. We would watch the walkouts every night, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love that
Well,
stuff.
that's what you want. I mean, when you're especially doing live theater, you want a reaction.
Oh my God!
And a bad reaction
I'm
is
the
sometimes
nosy
rewarding.
One, so I always watch the audience,
Yeah.
and it's so cool to sit in to be on the stage and watch a row of people where someone's laughing, sitting next to someone who's pissed, sitting next to someone who's crying, and they all came together.
Right.
So they have to deal with each other on the subway, home, or at dinner afterwards, and be like, "Why were you laughing? Why were you crying?
Right.
What were you pissed about?" Like, I think that's so cool that the theater does that. The Music Man doesn't do that. Well, it did it to me. I hated it.
Why were you crying during the Music Man?
Well, no, I was the upset one.
Right.
And then there were people asking us at our show, of like, you see some of the white folks in the audience of our show asking, like, or seeing, they had questions in their eyes of like, is it okay for me to laugh at this? Is this okay? Or straight folks being like, oh, it's a gape. It's like, I can't, whatever. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And that was my face at Music Man. No one has
The
ever...
Hugh Jackman one?
Yes.
Were you mad they didn't
No
cast
one
a
has ever
soprano?
explained shapoopy to me. I don't know what it's about. So I was sitting there very
You're like-
confused. Well, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. So, I don't know. People had that look on their faces when they came to see us singing about AIDS, It's God's Punishment, or something like that. So it's
Shapoopy
really
is ridiculous.
Thank you.
Ridiculous.
Thank you. Do you know what it means?
No.
There we go.
Well, they try to explain.
The girl that's hard
But
to
do
get,
they?
right?
Do they?
Right.
Do they?
It's one of those things that's like, this is us explaining, and then you still don't know it.
And why 76 trombones? That's huge.
That's too many trombones.
The size of that parade alone, if the
The-
brass section
the
has
noise.
76 trombones, that's ridiculous.
And that's just the trombones.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a
And you're
problem there.
complaining about pickleball?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Don't be mad at my little show just because it's black and gay and queer.
Right.
That's
Be mad
nothing.
at the 76 fucking
Yeah,
trombones.
thank you. Thank you. Justice.
So you have one more show tonight
Yes.
at the Provincetown
yes,
Theater?
I'm very excited. Yeah, tonight.
Tickets still available?
Tickets are still available. It's like close to selling out.
Oh,
so
So there's a
get
couple
there.
of seats
Yeah,
left.
Get 'em now.
yeah. But go, come see it. I'm excited. And I'll be back in August and October too.
You're going to be at the post office?
At the post office. Yeah, the
Will
last
that show
week.
be similar, Broadway
It'll
pop?
be similar. It'll be similar.
Nice. What
But,
Lady Gaga do you do?
You and I.
Ooh, that's my favorite.
I sang it 2 years ago in Provincetown at Tin Pan Alley, and I tell this story in the show at Provincetown Theater. The last time I sang that song in Provincetown, someone went to jail while
Why?
singing it. It was a bar fight.
Wait, what?
There was a bar fight.
During You and I?
During You and
That's
I,
perfect.
while singing. That's my claim to fame in Provincetown. Technically, I should be mayor. Is there a mayor? There should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be a mayor.
You're the unofficial
Yeah.
mayor.
I also feel like Lady Gaga would love that.
I mean,
Yeah.
no meat dress required. Just like, let me sing the song. She can come and she could play.
Perfect.
She could play.
Perfect.
Yeah. There was a bar fight and someone got arrested while singing. That's my claim to fame. It's in my special skills.
Incites riots.
Yeah.
What time's the show tonight?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock tonight at the Provincetown Theater. Go check out James Jackson Jr. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
For doing everything. I mean, I love your work.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
we'll see you in August.
Yay. Yay. Thank you.
I sat down with Fenton Bailey early this week to gush about Drag Race. Check it out.
I mean, it wasn't one of those things where you needed to talk to someone for 2 hours to get, a few good moments. Everything out of his mouth was perfect. So I guess he knew that, and that's why he wasn't going to give us any more time.
He's like, I know how good I am. You're not getting any more.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so we're gonna chat for about probably 8 to 12 minutes.
Okay.
And just some things I want to touch on. Obviously, the film festival, the Evan Lawson luncheon that you're going to be speaking at.
Right.
Are you going to be in town for the whole weekend? When are you arriving?
We arrive on flying tomorrow, so we arrive tomorrow night.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Are you going to get to see anything that you would want to mention, or?
I hope so, but I honestly haven't looked at the program.
That's okay.
It's been a crazy few. So, but I will look, and I will definitely go see. What should I go see?
Well, I really was excited for Bora Bora tonight, which is Meg Statler's program.
Right.
Bottoms is going to be really fun. That's Rachel Sennett's project. And I'm going to be chatting with the filmmaker who did Playland, which is about one of the first gay nightclubs in Boston. I think that's going to be a really fun one as well.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a doc? Yeah.
It is a documentary, yeah. So we'll chat about the luncheon. I would love to chat about World of Wonder, your book, Drag Race a little. Is that okay?
That's all great. Yes.
You're not sick of talking about Drag Race yet?
No. Always happy to talk about it. Yes.
Great. Awesome.
Depending what you ask.
I'm not going to ask any hard-hitting questions. I mean, I'm gonna probably relate it back to your book.
Yeah.
And the cultural impact and all of that.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's just, I'll intro us and then we'll get to chatting. Okay.
Okay. Great.
Awesome.
Do you want me to be on mute when I'm not speaking?
No. You're good. As long as there's not like an ambulance in the background or anything.
If there is, I'll mute it. Yes.
Oh, you'll be fine.
Do you edit this, or is this like all real time?
It's probably going to go real time unless something horrible happens. Okay. We can edit it down, or if you want to take a minute or anything like that.
And we're sort of in the morning, right? It's a morning thing.
Yeah, it's every Friday morning. It's actually funny. I'm going to geek out a little. Me and my friend Bob, who is my co-host, when we were conceptualizing this project and talking about what we would want it to eventually be, we had like kind of like a short list of like some of really cool people we would love to have on, and you were actually on that list. So we've been able to knock a few names off the list already, but it's exciting to knock another one off today.
I bet you say that to everyone you have on the show.
I wish. Okay, let's get going. Awesome. Good morning, everyone. We are here. I'm sitting down with Fenton Bailey. He is the co-founder of World of Wonder Productions. Thanks so much for chatting with me today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So we're filming this a couple days before this is going to air. You're going to be arriving in Provincetown Thursday, so last night. Is this the first time you've been to Provincetown, or have you been before?
I've been before, but never to the festival. So I'm really excited for that. I've been there to interview Norman Mailer in the past and John Waters in the past, because he's a famous resident there, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. One of the iconic Provincetown natives. Yeah. So you're going to be in town this weekend for the Provincetown International Film Festival. You're going to be the speaker at the Evan Lawson Luncheon this Sunday at the Crown and Anchor.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm going to speak a bit about Screen Age, my book, but also in conversation with Carson Kressley, one of the. Oh, there you go. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really exciting. You're going to have RuPaul's Drag Race judge Carson Kressley come to chat with you.
Yeah, no, it's marvelous. I'm really honored and thrilled because he's so super. I mean, I got to be on my game, right? On my A game.
Yeah. I've had the pleasure of meeting him at a bar in Palm Springs, and he is one of those people that walks in the room and everyone's eyes are on him. He's so charming.
And he always knows what to say and is so warm and funny and brilliant all at the same time.
Yeah, that's how you get to be a judge on Drag Race, right? Speaking of Drag Race is one of the many projects that you've produced through World of Wonder, and it has honestly kind of taken over kind of the queer pop culture zeitgeist. There's so much that it has added, and there's so much that has spawned off of it. When you started that project, what was that, 2007?
2009, yeah.
2009. Did you expect it to become the monstrous thing that it is today?
The smart answer would be, oh, yes, we knew. But like, no, I had no idea. I mean, you always hope any show you make does well, or any film you make does well. And 9 times out of 10, they don't do that well. So this has been extraordinary. But, I really think credit where credit is due. It is due to Rue, and also, of course, the hundreds of incredible queens. And, when I say queens, I mean, they're real artists. And I think that is the sort of amazing thing about the show. It's their artistry. I mean, charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. But really, it's just this incredible artistry that just hadn't really been on TV before.
Yeah. And I think one of the most impressive things about Drag Race is, like, I've grown up watching reality television my whole life, and this is kind of the only show that produces celebrities, it produces working artists, it allows these people to be shot up into the stratosphere of celebrity. And you don't really see that from a lot of other reality shows that are putting talent forward. A lot of them end up being a flash in the pan, but Drag Race has really put hundreds of queer artists into every household in America.
Well, I think that's right. I think that the sort of the myth or the misperception has been that, you know, drag is something only for our community, for the LGBTQ plus community. But actually, I think its appeal is pretty universal, and that everyone can enjoy drag. And so I think it's a really exciting moment culturally, because I think, you know, queens go from Drag Race, they go on to other TV shows. I mean, there's, you know, there's We're Here, there's Drag Me to Dinner. And I mean, that is a great thing. You'd think in a way we'd be like jealous of that, but no, I mean, I think the more, the merrier. And there's a, you know, Randy and I like to say, you know, drag queens are the new pop stars, I think. Totally. The new padam.
Totally. And also credit where credit is due. It's like you say that drag is something that isn't only for our community, but is instead something that everyone can enjoy. I feel like Drag Race was totally the catalyst that allowed people to realize that. My straight 15-year-old cousin texts me about Drag Race because she loves it. And it's really putting our community in the spotlight in such a positive, incredible way.
Yeah, it makes it's a little weird right now, isn't it, with this sort of anti-drag thing? I mean, not to bring things down at all, but it's like, I wonder like what that's all about and where they're coming from and what they're trying to prove by like banning drag, you know? And it, in a way, it can only be because it is popular, and because it's popular, maybe certain people see it as a threat, you know, that we've been invisible before now, and suddenly this new visibility, some people don't like it, I guess, you know?
Yeah, totally. But I think what they're underestimating is the amount of people who watch Drag Race and are going to show up to support drag and fully be against these types of bills.
Yes. Oh, for sure. You know, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, right?
Yeah, as much as they try. Yeah. So you do have your new book. I picked up a copy. It's called Screen Age. It's how TV shaped our reality, from Tammy Faye to RuPaul's Drag Race. So much of this you've had your finger on. How does it feel to kind of, I mean, maybe you don't feel this way, but you've kind of shaped and driven how queer people are seen in media, how queer people are represented in media. How does that feel to kind of have your finger on that?
Well, you know, I mean, really, Rennie and I met sometime last century, and we were like, honestly, we were at film school actually, and we would go to the Pyramid at happy hour and see, you know, just these amazing artists. And I think that was what inspired us then. We just love and enjoy it. And so we don't really see ourselves as shaping the culture or anything like that. We just feel lucky enough to enjoy drag and to have been able to put it on a show. And I do think it's also like culturally, that was a moment that came, you know, like drag has been around forever, and these amazing artists have been performing and creating for a long time, you know, often in the shadows, and they just hadn't really been on TV before. And I just think to me, it's really about the power and the magic of television that has kind of transformed our lives, and that we all are to some extent, you know, screen agers. We're all like, you know, you have an iPhone? I spend I get those updates of how long I've been on the phone.
I hate it.
People are always on at me saying, oh, you're always on your phone. I'm like, no, I'm not. You're always on your phone. Anyway, I get these things like 9-10 hours a day. And that's not the only screen in my life. You know, I'm on a laptop, I'm watching a show. We're all doing this thing where, and the great, amazing thing about that, I think is, and I don't believe this was ever intended, is that we can now all be visible in a way that we previously weren't, you know, because when it was just movies, only a few people could be movie stars. But now everybody can be on TV, you know, and I think TikTok and YouTube just sort of emphasize that. you know?
Yeah, now literally everyone can make a few videos on TikTok, and depending how people receive you, you can be a celebrity overnight.
Exactly. And so all kinds of voices and creativity that previously were excluded are now everybody can enjoy them. And I think that that's really what's happened. I mean, and that's sort of why I wrote the book, sort of to try and figure out what's happened and why it is that TV, which, let's face it, is often gets a bad rap. You know, the New York Times is 9 times out of 10 moaning about what's on TV. And yes, now we have premium TV, so that's great. But generally, TV gets a bad rap. And I thought, like, as someone who makes TV for a living, it was time to like turn it around a bit.
No, I agree. I've been expelling that sentiment as well, where it's like, I think we're kind of in like the second golden age of television when you look at everything that's being produced and the new things we're being exposed to. And I think it's incredible, and we're lucky to be here for it.
We are. I mean, my goodness, all sorts of, yes. I mean, just in my own life, like as a kid, you know, I'm pretty old, so TV wasn't then what it is now, but I was exposed to people that I would never have met or even knew existed. You know, I mean, that's, I think, how I knew about Andy Warhol. That's how I knew about Quinn and Crisp and these inspirational figures. And so TV really does have an influence on us and shapes us, I think.
Yeah. And also I feel like Drag Race itself is doing such a great job in kind of showing all these references and kind of uplifting pop culture of the past. I mean, just last week we had Joan the Rusical, and I imagine a lot of people watching Drag Race, a lot of them obviously know and love Joan, but a lot of people might not know who she is. And I feel like it's kind of re-exposing a younger audience to these queer icons that we've been loving for so long.
Absolutely. I mean, and you know, that's what drag is really. It's a kind of mashup kind of phenomena. It like takes bits and pieces and creates a new thing out of them. I mean, it's drag culture is drag, right? And we often joke, you know, Tom Campbell and Randy and everyone who works on the show, we sort of joke that the show itself, the format is kind of like a drag queen. You know, it's always, but it's always trying to takes bits and pieces from all the other reality unscripted shows out there and Minds Hollywood and, you know, all these old things. Funnily enough, even even the Pop-Tarts, you know, Randy and I, when we had a band when we first started out, and we just did a Money Success Fame Glamour challenge. So yeah, it's all grist to the mill, you know.
Yeah, and it all comes back.
Yeah.
I was one of I do have to say, it was one of those, it was such a serendipitous moment. I was just flipping around the channels on a random night, and I just happened across Logo TV, and it was the night that season 1 of Drag Race was premiering.
Wow.
And I was like, what's this? And I hadn't really been exposed to drag culture before because I was very young. I wasn't out in gay clubs or anything. And I haven't missed an episode since.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your loyalty.
Oh my God, of course. I mean, thank you for honestly just providing endless amounts of really incredible high quality queer content. And now I live in Provincetown, and these girls that I've been watching on television for the last decade are now handing out flyers on my street. They're able to come on Wake Up in Provincetown and chat with our community. It's really, really incredible.
That is awesome to see, because, you know, it's a kind of, you know, I think it was Brooklyn Heights from Drag Race Canada was telling me that, you know, as an actress would work in movies and scripted and always be like drag queen #1 or streetwalker #2, you know, always just end up in it just sort of portrayed in a certain way, always like victimized in some way and normally dead by the second act, you know?
Right. And now they're the center of stage.
Yes, exactly. And rightfully
I do drag every once in a while, and I did 2 small film roles, and one was Man in Drag, and another was Bingo Hostess.
But you survived both, right? You weren't killed off.
And they are on my IMDb page. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me this morning, Fenton, and I'm really excited to see you this weekend.
Thank you for having me, and I'm really looking forward to being there.
Yeah, we'll see you at 1 o'clock at the Crown and Anchor, along with Carson Kressley for the Evan Lawson Luncheon.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
That was such an honor to sit down with Fenton Bailey.
Hurry, tell everybody what's happening this weekend.
There's stuff going on this weekend. Tonight, Kaya Kristal's brand new one-woman show opens called Intergalactic Disco.
8 o'clock in the Wave Bar.
8 o'clock at the Wave Bar. Also this weekend is a really fun drag event. It's hosted by Mahogany. It's called Blackcellence. It is at the Governor Bradford this Sunday at 7 o'clock. And it's a celebration of Black talent in Provincetown. It's going to be Drigo, Kaya Kristal, Drizzy Bravo, Lily Rose Valor, and so many others. D'Angelo, who we had here a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it's going to be really killer. Also, there is a Sunday night block party for the Provincetown International Film Festival closing party. I think it's just open, so come on by, have fun.
Don't forget about Clam Jam, the Monday afternoon pool party at the Crown and Anchor, 12 to 4 every Monday.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Also, speaking of pool parties, this Wednesday is going to be the first weekly pool party hosted by João Santos. It's going to be his birthday celebration. He's out of town all weekend, so he told everyone to come to his pool party on Wednesday to celebrate. It's a Brazilian pool party, so wear your skimpiest bathing suit.
And we want to thank our sponsors, the Provincetown Brewing Company, the Boat Slip,
Crown and Anchor,
the Crown and Anchor,
the Provincetown Business Guild, and Shipwreck at the Brass Key.
And thank you guys for waking up in Provincetown.
Wherever you are.
See you next Friday.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody.